Now remember, it's nothing but special effects and a made-up story. Thus there is no reason to fear.
Iida started as he held up 3 horror movies you had brought over. I know, you replied, stuffing your mouth with fresh popcorn.
Alright, they're nothing but people in makeup, costumes, and really good effects.
Iida quickly turned to the television in the lounge and inserted one of the discs into the player. Iida, sounds like you're trying to convince yourself not to get scared. You smirked as you took a sip of tea already fixed earlier on the coffee table between Iida and yourself. He turned to you, offended by the statement and everything he stood for.
I am not scared. Heroes don't get scared.
He puffed proudly, making you stare at him in amusement. Huh. Okay. Well, come sit down. You patted the empty spot on the couch next to you, signaling him to join you. Once he came over and sat down next to you, you gave him the large bowl of popcorn into his hands before you stood from the couch and made your way towards the light switch.
What are you doing?
He asked nervously. Turning the lights off, you answered, with a sly smile before flicking the switch.
Are you sure that's such a good idea? What if you have to use the restroom and trip as you stand? You can't see where you're going.
Iida's grip tightened on the bowl of popcorn in his lap. I'll manage. You walked back to the couch and took your seat next to Iida, taking the remote from the coffee table and hitting play. You made yourself comfortable and leaned against Iida's shoulder before you reached into the bowl of popcorn still on his lap. He jumped slightly from the movement as he felt your hand brush against his. A little jumpy, aren't you? The movie hasn't even started. Iida's cheeks turned a dark shade of red, pushing up his glasses as a means to distract himself from the blush.
I'm not jumpy. Just the touch from your hand was really unexpected,
he rambled. You chuckled lowly while the opening credits rolled on screen. It was fun to watch the class rep get all jumpy from jump scares. Was it cruel for you to do this to him though? Most definitely. Were you going to beat yourself up over it? Certainly not. Whenever Iida asked what you wanted to watch for a date night, he knew in the back of his mind that you would pick horror. You still remember the first time he suggested the idea during Valentine's Day. He had thought it would be cute to have an indoor date while his parents were away. He allowed you to pick out any movie you wanted since he ordered takeout. Memories of that night flooded back, remembering that you decided on a gory and graphic Valentine's-themed movie. You believed it to be perfectly fine at the time, while Iida held on to you tightly. In the end, he tried to cover it up with many excuses such as,
You looked cold. I held you since you seemed a bit frightened.
And your favorite of them all,
You needed a hero to protect you.
Due to these romantic gestures, you decided to make him feel in a way manly, thinking he was protecting you and comforting you through such horrific scenes. It surprised you when you'd suggest he choose a movie instead, and he always picked horror, as if stating that the date night was a horror movie date night. Honestly, it made you smile seeing that he was willing to put his pride on the line for a couple of hours, just to make you smile. Your train of thought was broken when Iida jumped, nearly knocking the bowl of popcorn from his lap. You okay? You asked, turning your attention from the screen.
Yes, I'm perfectly fine. You looked a little preoccupied, so I decided to give you a fright. Did it work?
He asked, trying to play it off and recover from his scare. Was I really out for that long? You thought. You simply smiled and leaned in back into Iida's form. Terrified! The both of you returned back to the television screen and continued to watch the film. A tense chase scene played. Screams filled the lounge room while Iida's grip on your body tightened. You took this in stride and nestled further into Iida, which in turn comforted him, if only a little. Before the tension was too much for Iida to handle, as the scene reached its most pivotal moment, the television immediately shut off, and darkness engulfed the lounge room. Did you get scared? You asked curiously, looking at his hands to see if he grabbed a hold of the remote. To your surprise, he had nothing. Instead, he reached over to grab it off the coffee table and pressed the power button with no luck. Did the power get knocked out? You wondered out loud as you sat up on the couch. Iida placed the popcorn bowl on the coffee table and made his way to the light switch. He flicked it multiple times, but was still left in the dark.
Maybe we should check the breakers,
he suggested as he turned to you on the couch. You nodded in agreement before you made your way to him. He took your hand in his and led you through his home. The both of you felt around in the dark, but that didn't stop Iida from bumping into a few pieces of furniture, and certainly didn't stop you from bumping into his large frame. Once the both of you found your way to the kitchen, Iida led you towards the door that led to the basement. He slowly opened the door and peeked inside.
Alright, now stay close and try not to fall,
he instructed as he took a step onto the steps leading down into the darkness. Wait! What if there's somebody down there? You shuddered as you peered into the cold, dark basement. Iida turned to you with a surprise before he let out a small, reassuring laugh.
There's nothing to worry about. Just pretend you're in one of those horror movies,
he suggested, which honestly did not make you feel any better. Truthfully, that sounds horrible. Just because I enjoy horror doesn't mean I want to experience it firsthand, you grumbled. Iida held out his hand, still with a smile. As you took it, he held onto you tightly, while you gripped onto the handrail beside the stairs. After reaching the basement below, the both of you agreed to split up so that you covered more ground in search for the breaker box. You used your hand to feel along the walls and used your other to check your surroundings to keep you from running into anything. It wasn't long until you felt something metallic hit your hand. You smiled in relief and proceeded to open the box before you felt a pair of arms wrap around you from behind, making you blush from the touch. Hey, I found the breaker box, you stated out loud happily.
Really? That's great!
Iida replied from a distance. Your back stiffened from the response, still feeling the strong pair of arms encircled around your body. You slowly flipped one of the breakers in the box and watched as the basement's weak lighting flickered back on. In the dim lighting, you could see Iida by the flight of stairs, his face drained of color as he stared past you. You looked down at the pair of arms that still encircled your frame before you turned around, coming face to face with a disturbing clown mask. You felt your scream escape your lungs and quickly shoved the man away, running towards Iida as you clumsily caught your feet. Grabbing his hand, the both of you ran up the stairs with your outstretched hand reaching out towards the door, back to Iida's home. Unfortunately, tripping over your feet, you fell backwards into Iida and tumbled back down the stairs. Iida grabbed onto your body before the both of you slammed onto the basement floor, protecting you from the impact and taking most of it on his larger frame. The two of you quickly looked up towards the footsteps that shuffled against the concrete floor. The clown walked towards you with its head tilted, staring at the two of you. Iida still held on to you, twisting his body to ensure that you were still protected from the intruder. The clown slowly lifted his mask, while you heard the deep rumble of Iida's engines, feeling the vibrations of it through his body as he held onto you tightly. As soon as the mask was pulled, Iida's eyes widened.
Gotcha,
spoke the intruder with a deep chuckle. You peeked over Iida's shoulder, your eyes just as wide as his when you spotted who stood before the both of you.
Tensei?
Exclaimed Iida, staring at his older brother in disbelief. That wasn't funny, you grumbled. How could you do that?
I agree. I thought you were out running some errands.
Tensei simply laughed and placed the mask on a nearby shelf.
I did. But I got back earlier than I thought. The two of you were so deep into that movie, I couldn't help myself. Sorry. I didn't think you two would get that scared.
Tensei rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly.
Oh, it's fine. Just please don't do that again,
requested Iida as he carried you up from the floor and gently placed you on your feet.
Don't worry, I won't. But now that my little prank is done, I'm going to take a shower. You two enjoy the rest of your movie. It was looking real good.
Tensei walked up the stairs towards the kitchen, leaving you and Iida behind in the dimly lit basement. You both watched him leave, before Iida turned to you, clearing his throat.
Well then, shall we proceed with the movie?
He asked. You hummed in thought before shaking your head in response. No. Maybe we should just start watching action and romance movies from now on, you replied with a small smile. Iida, upon hearing these words, released a sigh of relief.
Oh, thank God, yes, please.